Ming dynasty isolated itself from the world despite having a strong naval capacity. How did this choice affect China's future global role? Well, what an important question. What a prescient question. The Ming dynasty. It's 1300s, 1400s. Is it? And Zhang He, the Chinese admiral. Am I right? 1300s, 1400s. Let's see. Okay, Ming dynasty. Ming dynasty. 1300s, 14. Yeah, see, I was right. 1300s. So 1368 to 1644. Now, what about Zhang He? That guy was late 1300s, early 1400s, if I'm not mistaken. I'm usually bad with dates. Let me see if I turn out to be right. Zhang He. Yes, late 1300s, early 1400s. I was right once again. See, I'm right when it comes to dates, approximately. I don't bother to memorize dates, but I'm approximately correct with dates. So you have the Ming dynasty, 1300s to 1600s, and they had a good naval capacity. They could build pretty large ships, pretty massive ships, and put weapons that were reasonably scary on those ships, reasonably advanced technology for its time. And they could send entire flotillas of those ships together, task forces together. And they had a great admiral, the Hui general, Zhang He, who was also a eunuch. A eunuch. A eunuch is a person who has undergone a certain surgical procedure. The Chinese practice. Charming. So Zhang He was this eunuch admiral, uh, and he was sent by the Chinese Ming dynasty on several expeditions to discover the world and to project Chinese power. And one of the places that they did this was Sri Lanka, and they also, I suppose, went to East Africa and so on, allegedly, if I'm not mistaken. You can look it up. So during the Ming dynasty, the Chinese had significant naval capabilities, and they had the ability to travel far and wide and project power as well, military power, right? And then later Ming kings, emperors, whatever you want to call them, they decided to no longer exercise or use the Chinese naval capacity, shut it down. Not interested. They decided to focus on the land borders. They decided to focus on keeping an eye on Mongolia, because Mongolia is powerful, yes, very powerful. They had already been burned by the Mongols before, Shri Chinggis Khan, Shri Kublai Khan, and so on. So they said, okay, we will now focus on the land borders. We will defend the land borders. We will turn inwards. We'll become insular. We'll forget about the sea stuff, ocean stuff. Why do we need to do all this? Kya milta hai isse? What's the big deal? Forget about it. And so they voluntarily, essentially dismantled their naval capabilities. So we are talking about this. So the Ming dynasty lasts until the 1600s, right? So that's by the 1600s, it's clear that they have dismantled essentially, voluntarily, the Chinese naval capabilities. What's the outcome of this long-term outcome? So let's say 1640, they have dismantled the Chinese naval capabilities. Go forward a couple of 100 years, 1840s. What does China face? Naval invasions from the Europeans. The Europeans did not dismantle naval capabilities. They built on top of their existing naval capabilities. Europe was far away from China. China did not even know that Europe existed, mostly. But 200 years after this, after the Ming dynasty, the Chinese find that the Europeans have super advanced naval capabilities. They have militarized those naval capabilities. They have created a world order that is Eurocentric in nature. They dominate the seas. They decide what happens on the seas. They decide who controls the trade routes and who can use the trade routes. And they are now imposing terms on China. That is the beginning of the Chinese century of humiliation. So because the Ming dynasty voluntarily dismantled its naval capabilities, China had to pay a huge price 200 years later. Huge price. A century of humiliation. How stupid does it look? In hindsight, it may have made sense when the Ming emperor decided we don't need to do this anymore. But 200 years later, it looked so stupid. And it was a terrible decision. If the Chinese had expanded on their naval capabilities, they would have pushed the Europeans out of the ocean. But that's not what happened. So these small choices make such a huge difference. Today, India is treating ISRO with a stepmotherly treatment. We have the space capabilities. We are choosing to disregard them. 5 space launches, 5 rocket launches a year, 6 rocket launches a year. PSLV is failing. Who cares? Space, jane do. Who cares? So that took 200 years. This will take 20 years in the 21st century. In the 21st century, all the time scales are compressed. In 20 years, you will need a visa to go to space. The Americans will say, ISRO wants to do a space launch, apply for permission, wait in line for 6 months. What will you do then? Unless we build a permanent presence in space, in which case they can't do a thing. But no, we are just snoozing right now. We are going backwards. So this is a cautionary tale. The Ming dynasty's decision to isolate itself and shut down its naval capability. That's exactly what we are doing with ISRO. We are not taking it forward. It's just floating wherever it is. Zero ambition from the government of India right now. It's distressing to see.